Good morning. I see participants starting to enter now. Welcome to Job Club. We're so glad that you have joined us today. We'll get started shortly after some more participants have entered the. For now, you can locate the chat box and toggle the to icon to everyone. So if you put in a comment or question, everyone can see. And to ensure that we can see your questions and comments as we move through the program as well. Let us know where you're joining from and what kind of work you are seeking if you are a job seeker. We thank you to employers who have joined us today. They will have a moment at the end to give us updates on any job opportunities that their businesses have. Looks like we've had several more join us. Welcome to Job Club. We're so glad that you've joined us today. We'll be starting shortly. For now, please locate the chat box and toggle the to everyone to ensure that we can see your questions and comments as we move through the program today. Amy will be our speaker today, and she will take questions as she goes along. So if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat box. And let us know where you're logging in from today and what kind of work you are seeking. Our agenda today will be our welcome, success stories, the main speaker, sharing of job activities, or job leads, and partner updates. And then we'll also give you the topic for the next time Job Club meets. Looks like we have several joining us. Good morning. All right. Good morning. This is Job Club. Thank you for joining us. We're glad that you're here today. Our mission at Job Club is to provide a positive environment for job seekers to network and learn best practices for the job search. We meet on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, and you can find the schedule of topics at www.ukalumni.net/jobclub. Today, we have our team of Job Club people, and we have Diana Doggett. She is our extension specialist, and we just thank you, Diana, for all of your hard work and dedication to Job Club over the years. And Caroline Francis is the Director of Alumni Career Services. Nicole Waite is Employment Specialist at UK STEPS, Temporary Employment. And Amy Gamblin, our Associate Director of Alumni Career Services, who is our guest speaker this morning. We also have Suzanne Smith and Sunny Saylor at the Extension office. And there is Christy Kaufman and Queen and me, Lindsay, from the Alumni Association. Job Club is currently hosted in online format only. So make sure that if you are used to coming in person, that you recognize that online only for now for Job Club. We have Zoom webinar and a chat moderator. So if you have any questions, somebody is going to get to your question. And we also have Facebook Live, which is view only. We do not have a chat moderator on Facebook or any job leads afterwards. All right. If you can review your free Job Club resource packet, it is located at ukalumni.net/jobclub as well. It includes job search facts, Central Kentucky networking opportunities, informational interviewing tips, Lexington area staffing agencies, articles of interest for job seekers, resume review checklist and verb list, and LinkedIn job search checklists. Join the Job Club of Kentucky Sharing Community on LinkedIn. You can scan those QR codes on your screen at this time. So on our presentation today, we have employers and recruiters, and they will have a 1-minute spotlight at the end to share any active job leads with our group. And watch your email later today for any job leads that have been shared with our job club team through our email. Please note that we have some attendees who are conducting confidential job searches. Please be respectful of privacy, and you can check out job search related articles, including our job club reminder emails, and recordings and PowerPoint slides are available at ukalumni.net/jobclub. Welcome to our first timers. You will receive a follow-up survey later today, and this feedback will place you in our notification system for future programs. You can scan the QR code on the screen and complete that now. And please let us know where you're joining from. And also let us know if you have any success stories. Please put that in the chat box. Let us know when you progress in the job search. Did you complete your resume, have a networking meeting in your field of interest, land an interview? Please share with us all of the things that are happening in your job search right now. And you can also email us at jobclub@uky.edu to share your big wins. And we don't have to share your name. Whenever you email us with your job success stories, we just want to share those to encourage other people and to show those other job seekers that there is success out there.
And Lindsay, this is Amy. We do have a success story to share.
Wonderful.
So I just want to read what this person wrote. She says, this program's assistance in my search for a job after 25 years of employment at the same place was invaluable. Things sure have changed. I want to encourage everyone to use the resources you provide and keep your hopes up. I'm starting my 10th month at the Department of Public Health. I'm so happy where I landed. Thank you all for the guidance you gave me. I truly appreciate that. So awesome success story there. And again, if you have success stories, feel free to type them in the chat box here.
Thank you so much, Amy. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome Amy Gamblin, the Associate Director of the University of Kentucky Alumni Career Services Program. And she is a certified career coach, a certified coach trainer, and a certified professional resume writer. She spent 10 years working as a career and life coach, owning her own coaching business and training others to be certified coaches before joining the University of Kentucky. In her Alumni Career Services role, she assists individual clients, develops career-related presentations and programming, and writes regular columns for the UK Alumni Magazine. Amy has a master's in international relations and a bachelor's in history from the University of Kentucky. Thank you, Amy, for being our speaker today, and I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay, and welcome everyone. Happy New Year. Today we want to talk about how you can align your mission, values, and goals for career success. So again, welcome to 2024. Very grateful for everyone who's joining us in this new year, whether you're here with us now online or watching in the future. Very excited to discuss this topic with each of you. So this will be an interactive session. So I hope you have your pen and paper ready to write down your key thoughts, what your key takeaways might be. Engage us in the chat, type in the chat box what you're discovering. Now, before we get started, I want each and every one of you to know that you are extraordinary individuals. Each of you has a career passion in you. And whether you know what that is, each of you has a purpose for that career fulfillment. So again, maybe you know what that is. Maybe you're just working to figure that out. And my hope for this session is you can start the process for summoning. Let's summon the best of who we are to achieve the career life that we want. Now, I don't know about you, but each year I get really super excited about the new year. It's a fresh slate. There are so many things, I think about that I want to accomplish at the beginning of the year, whether it's a career goal or a financial goal, health goal, whatever it is. I love to start the year with a fresh slate to see what I can get done. So, a question I have for each of you here, I'm curious, raise your hand or maybe type in the chat box if you've created some 2024 goals for yourself. What are those? So, we'd love to see your comments here. What goals have you created for yourself for this new year? And this can be a career goal, it can be any other type of goal. Have you really thought about the goals that you want to create for this new year? Now, another question, those of you who maybe have set New Year's goals in the past, maybe it was last year, maybe a few years back, have you been really inspired to accomplish your goals? I'm talking about feeling that motivation, feeling inspired, to really make that happen. Have you truly felt that? And if not, why? What are challenges that are coming up in the way there? What's getting in the way? So yes, we can get all fired up for the 1st of January, maybe writing those goals down that we want to achieve. It makes us feel good. Then what happens? Come the end of February or beginning of March, we're wondering, now what exactly were those goals that I made for myself at the beginning of the year? So that's not to say that we may not have those days of real momentum. Of course we have those days, but maybe we have days where we don't feel that motivation to keep striving toward what we want. We don't feel it. It becomes an effort. It's I got to do this again. And what happens is we lose sight of what we wanted in the first place. So the question is, how can we summon the best that we are day after day after day? How can we create that consistency throughout the year? So remember, it's not just about the beginning of the year when we set our goals. It's a decision that we make throughout the entire year. It's an intention that we make. Whether you start now or whether you start months down the line, you can make that decision. It becomes a habit, it becomes a routine that we want to develop. At some point, at any point throughout the year, you can decide to shift your life to the extraordinary. So how will we make this happen? So getting in the conversation started, I thought this was an interesting chart I pulled from a site called Charter. It's a data analytical site. I love it. Gives interesting visuals, charts about business and tech trends. And here it gives a visual of things America said that they wanted to resolve to start doing in 2024. And what's interesting, it breaks it down to different age categories as well. So highlighting the top 5 here: saving more money, being happy, exercising more. I'm seeing a lot of different health goals in the chat. Improving physical health, eating healthier. Those are really nice goals to have, yes? Really nice goals. But most of the times, the things that we resolve to do at the beginning of the year do fall by the wayside. So why are our resolutions so hard to keep? And the general statistics show that approximately 80% of people fail to keep up their New Year's resolutions by February, and only 8% stick with them the entire year. And more than likely, the same goals that you have set for this year, maybe were on your list the previous year. So why does this happen? What is preventing us from following through and achieving what we want? So personal story, usually every year I do set a health goal as one of my resolutions. I'm really excited, pumped up at the new year. Maybe it's an exercise goal, maybe it's running a 10K, or 15 years ago it was running a half marathon, which I'm glad to say that I did do that. I want to get to that place again. So I have in mind what it is. So I join a gym, I buy exercise clothes, I read health journals, I collect healthy recipes, and I think, yeah, I'm motivated to do this. But then I notice none of those activities will get me to that goal. So it's great to have the goal. It's great to do those things, but what actions, what habits, what routines am I really putting in place to achieve it? So I can't be sitting at home eating a tub of ice cream and watching Netflix and think I'm going to reach my health goal. It just doesn't work like that. I wish it did. Of course, nothing wrong with watching a Netflix and having some ice cream along the way. But, in other words, joining a gym, having the appropriate clothes, collecting food recipes won't get me to my health goal. What will get me to my goal is actually developing those habits, those routines around that. So just for fun, I took a personal inventory of some of my previous year's goals and looked at where I could say, yeah, I definitely stuck with that, or looked at ones where I said, gosh, another year around the sun and I'm still working on this one. So why is that the case? So here are some of the things I came up with. Maybe some of these things may resonate for you. So first of all, having a lack of clarity in that goal. So the goal wasn't specific enough. And if you don't have that clarity and understand exactly what that goal is, it's going to be difficult to achieve. So being very specific exactly what that goal is. And then the goal was maybe too overwhelming. So I gave up, thinking of, like a health goal. Maybe I thought, oh, I've got to do all of this overnight or within the next month. It's too overwhelming. So what's the point? I give up. Maybe it's a lack of time to accomplish the goal. We all have competing priorities and things change, throughout the course of the year. What takes priority maybe no longer resonates with a goal that you had planned. Or the goal I was set up was actually to please someone else, not myself. So it wasn't actually my goal, it was someone else's. I think that's a big one for a lot of us. And then finally, poor habits, poor execution. I didn't create those habits or routines necessary to achieve that goal. So these are some of my own obstacles that I came up with. I'm curious to know from you, type in the chat, what are some of the reasons for you not being able to follow through on your goals? What are some challenges that you're facing? And as we are doing this, as we are thinking about this, let's think about switching our mindset. Instead of resolutions, let's think about having intentions. So setting a real intention for that real and lasting change. So being intentional can help you make those critical career decisions. So what do you want to be intentional about for your career in 2024? So again, type in whatever things are coming up for you in the chat, write them down for yourself. We'd love to review that with you. So I see some goals coming in. Awesome. And when I think back about, why I didn't achieve some of my goals, I ask myself, what's really missing here? So ultimately, what was missing was not understanding my core values, not understanding what my mission was, or how to set goals to align with those areas. And these are the areas we want to focus on today. I think a trap some people fall into is, again, getting very excited about, making goals, having this vision that they want, but they have nothing to anchor those goals to. So that anchor is important. When there's no anchor, it's easy to get frustrated or give up too easily when they don't feel like, they're making the progress that they want. So what oftentimes happens is, yeah, giving up on that goal. Now, when it comes to career goals specifically, we want to make sure that we understand what is it that will make a fulfilling career? Like, what's going to fulfill us? What is it that we desire in our career? What's going to inspire us in our career? And a lot of times, we just don't take the time to think about these different questions. And we'll get into that in a second, but really think about what's going to fulfill you, what's going to motivate you, what's going to inspire you as you think about your career goals. Now, when making those goals, everything may look great on paper. One may actually have short-term goals to reach those long-term goals. Perhaps they map out the education that they feel that they need, the skills required to achieve that goal. They got it all mapped out. And then maybe once they achieve those goals and land that job that they thought they wanted all along, they realize, this career is not really fulfilling me. What happened? Where did things go wrong? So when defining your career goals to be fulfilled, we want to put the right things in order. So for example, instead of starting with goals first, think about starting with your desires, what fulfills you, what's important to you, what you do prioritize in your life. Start there first. And so we want to set this framework up of understanding what your core values are, developing that personal mission, and why it's important in goal setting. So asking a critical question here to each of you. What will you do with this information that we're talking about today? It's nice to attend a webinar and get some thoughts here, but what will you do with this information? How will you use this information to make that critical, impactful change for yourself? Now, what are you going to do once you've dug deep into understanding what your core values are, what your mission is? How will that information impact you? How will it impact your career, making those decisions that you want to make for your career? Because while it may be great to truly know what your core values are, to have that personal mission statement, unless you put those routines, those habits, those actions in place, may not get you to where you want to go. So please keep this in mind, as we're talking through some of these areas here. So quickly, the framework, let's define, these areas before we get started, and we'll dive in deeper for each of these. So your core values, that's your root beliefs from which you operate. It's what you represent. It's your why. It provides a compass in your life. So deep down, it provides that compass. Your personal mission, it incorporates those values. It guides your decision making. It provides clear focus to meet those goals. And when one clearly defines their core values and what their personal mission is and anchors both of that to their goals, the likelihood of achieving those goals becomes real. It makes sense to you. So for your goals, it's the short and long-term activities you really want to do. They're measurable, they're observable. You're putting those routines and habits in place to meet those goals. I'm loving the comments in the chat. I'm just taking a quick glance at them. Keep them coming. Appreciate that. If you have any questions, let us know as well. So here's a question for you. Have you ever made a bad career choice that landed you in an environment you didn't feel satisfied in or you didn't feel fulfilled in? Many people may set their career goals in the wrong place. There's no architecture to it. There's no foundation. And I love this quote by Stephen Covey. He says, if you don't set your goals based upon your mission statement, you may be climbing the ladder of success only to realize when you get to the top, you're at the wrong building. Ouch. I felt that way. Perhaps some of you have felt that way, that you're climbing up your career ladder only to realize you had put your ladder on the wrong building. Perhaps some of you may be feeling, I don't even have a ladder, or I don't even know what building to put that on, which is okay too. So it's important to know what architecture is setting that foundation for your career. Perhaps you think having goals and tasks laid out is all you need. But what really speaks to that foundation of your goals? If you don't have that foundation, the ladder falls, or even worse, the wall may come crumbling down. So how can you prevent that? It's by having that architecture in place. It's about knowing what your core values are, really digging deep and knowing what they are, putting a purpose in place with your mission, activating those routines and habits to reach your career goals. When you have that architecture right, you're aligned with your purpose. So let's start with your core values. So your core values, again, are those deeply ingrained principles that guide you. They're inherent in your being. Now, you probably will not change your core values in response to circumstances in your life, but rather you may change your job or profession to remain true to your core values. Now, this doesn't mean that your core values will be the same throughout the stages of your life. You know, changes happen, circumstances change, priorities change, and with it, your values may change. So keeping that in mind. But ultimately, understanding your core values, it provides that foundational framework when setting your career goals. So if you're faced with making a critical career decision, our core values can point us to that right direction. They help you understand what your core values are. So going back to the slide of putting the ladder against the wrong building, my personal story, earlier in my career, I didn't understand the importance of knowing what my core values were or how they aligned with my career. I was looking for a stable company that I knew I could move up the ladder in. And in the meantime, I ignored some red flags along the way as I did move up that ladder. I worked for a wonderful global company, very dynamic, growing company, very well known in the community. And I had the fortune of working with people all around the world, which I loved, and traveling to places around the world, which I loved, and quickly moved up that ladder. And so within 5 years, when I started out as an executive assistant, I became the project coordinator for all of North America. Thought, great. But guess what? I didn't feel fulfilled. It wasn't fulfilling me. Toward the end, I dreaded going into work. My health had declined. I was frustrated. I grappled with what exactly is the reason for my unhappiness. And ultimately, it boiled down to my core values. It's not that it was a bad company, not at all. It's still thriving, growing, and respected in the community. It's just that what I was doing, my job, wasn't meeting my core values, who I was, what I knew I wanted to do in my life. So if you're in a career or doing something in life that makes you unsettled, or in your gut, it makes you feel like what you're doing just isn't making you satisfied or fulfilled, more than likely it's because these aren't aligning to your own personal core values. So it's that important to understand what that is. So I want to do a brief exercise to get you thinking about how to define your core values. And this was adapted from Mind Tools. If some of you haven't heard about Mind Tools, it's a great resource for building skills for your career. So this was adapted from what they put out. And after the presentation today, we'll be again posting the recording later on. And with that recording, we're going to post the full exercise as an attachment to the webinar recording. So this is just to get us started thinking about our core values. So I want to put up a list of values on the next screen. So these are just some that I've chosen. There could be hundreds of core values, but these are some that I've chosen. On the exercise, you're going to have plenty more to choose from. So in this, you're identifying your core leading values. What values are necessary for you to honor? What values do you wish were more present in your life? So remember, as you do this exercise, the core values are your values, not what others want for you. They're yours. So there's no right or wrong. These are personal for you. So a list on the screen. Again, the questions. What values are necessary for you to honor? What values do you wish were more present in your life? So take a few moments looking at some of the words on the screen here and come up with, 2 or 3 core values that really stand out for you. And I'll give you a moment to do that. Write it down, maybe type in the chat box what's coming up for you. And questions as you're working through this, do these values make you feel good about yourself? How do these values show up in your life? How do they show up with your family, with your friends, your community? Where are they not showing up? And what's preventing that? I think that's an important question too. Where are they not showing up? All right. So again, the full exercise will be part of the program that we will upload in our website. But additional questions, that's part of the exercise. So some of you may have come up, I'm seeing some come through the chat, come up with a list very quickly. Others may not have been able to do so very quickly, and that's okay too. So here are some more questions to get you thinking about how to identify your core values. Question number 1, identify times when you were happiest. What were you doing? Who were you with? What caused the happiness? What made you feel happy? Identify times you were most proud. What made you feel proud about what you were doing? Who else shared in that pride? Question number 3, identify times when you were most fulfilled and satisfied. What need or desire was fulfilled? How and why did that experience give you life, meaning? Identify, I love this one. Question number 4, identify contributions. You think about making a list of ways you want to make a difference. How do you want to make a difference in the world? How do you want to make a difference in your career? How do you want to make a difference with your family, your friends, or your community? So keep this list of core values you developed as a guide when making your career decisions. So the next step in the process, we want to further develop this as we think about our personal mission statement. So once you understand what your core values are, we can move into talking about, okay, what does this mean? How can I develop this personal mission statement as a guide? So a well-crafted personal mission statement can be a key element of your professional brand. It communicates who you are, communicates what you stand for, communicates what you aim to achieve, which really helps you stand out in your career. Now, I'm a big fan of simplicity. The simpler, the better, in my opinion. We don't want to overcomplicate writing out a mission statement. It can be as simple as one sentence. Now, another note, I do recommend having one main personal mission statement, and you can develop others for different areas of your life. So, for example, I compare this to having a main resume template that you tweak for different jobs that you're applying for. So having a main mission statement, you can have that main mission statement and tweak it for, say, a health mission statement or a relationship mission statement or a career mission statement. So that's what we want to talk about. So what is a mission statement? So your mission statement outlines your aspirations. It provides clarity for your career, helping you focus on the specific goals that contribute to your larger purpose. And having that mission statement can be a source of motivation. When your work aligns with your mission, you're more likely to be engaged, to be committed, which can lead to greater job satisfaction and success. And your mission statement provides that framework for goal setting, helps you define what success looks like for you, helps you in that process of setting your action steps that contribute to that vision. So how does this apply specifically to job seekers? Well, maybe, having that personal mission statement, maybe you're having to make a decision about what company you want to work for. So take a look at those companies' core values and mission. What aligns their core values with your core values, or do they even align? So that's important for you to consider. Perhaps you have other decisions to make. Maybe it's a new career opportunity or staying where you are versus going somewhere different. So again, having that mission statement can guide you in that process. So how do you develop one? So again, simplicity, very simple. First, take those core values that you identified, maybe your top 3 to 4 core values that you identified in that previous exercise, and think about, how do these values make you feel good about yourself? How do these values represent things you would support? And again, from that core values exercise, how do you want to be remembered? And if the world required you to be at your best, what might you do differently? Now, what's interesting is I did this exercise nearly 10 years ago when I led a values workshop. And it's amazing to me to see that my values and my mission really hadn't changed. So 10 years ago, I identified my core values as service, faith, learning, and joy. So I took those 4 core values and wrote out a 1-sentence mission statement, which was to live my life in service to others as I continually learn and spread joy, relying on my faith each step of the way. And that has served me. When I think about the trajectory of my career in the last 10 years, how I directed my life to honor those values, to honor my mission statement, I would not have ended up right now where I am today with you, would not have been here where I am without honoring those values and that mission. So a question to you, how do you want to honor your values and mission statement? And if anyone here has written a personal mission statement, again, we'd love for you to share that. Type in the chat what that might be. So really as simple as 1 sentence, taking those core values, writing a simple 1-sentence mission statement with those values. Okay, so after you have identified your core values, your personal mission, how can you then apply those to your career? So again, thinking about career decisions that you have to make, whether it's making a choice between choosing one career path versus another career path. Maybe it's one job offer versus another one, or maybe it's transferring to another physical location or understanding what your salary requirements are. Maybe it's working with a team, or maybe you want to be an entrepreneur working for yourself. So those core values and personal mission statements you identify can provide that direction, that compass for your decision-making process. Now, earlier I gave some examples of challenges that I had when following through on goals, lack of clarity on the goal was too overwhelming, lack of time, those competing priorities. The goal was to please someone else rather than myself, not having those habits set around those goals. So now that we've identified what our core values are and mission statement is, it's going to be easier not to fall into those pitfalls. So when we have complete clarity about our beliefs, we begin to approach our goals with more intensity, with vibrancy, with excitement. Again, it's an inspiration to us. So how do we set our career goals based on our values and mission statement? So I talked about this earlier. A simple tip is to develop those anchoring beliefs around your goals. And this actually comes from Dean Bakari. He's a personal development and motivational coach. He talks about anchoring beliefs. So when we anchor our goals to our beliefs, to our values, we are signaling to our brain that this is something really important to us. This is high priority, reinforcing what really matters to you. And guess what? That really builds that motivation for achieving the goal. You'll think of it this way. If you just say, okay, my goal is to find a job that I love. That sounds all well and good, but what does that really mean? What is the belief behind that goal? So an anchoring belief may be by getting a job that I love, it will provide me energy, it will provide me fulfillment to serve in a way that supports me and my family for the long term. That's an anchoring belief. So your anchoring beliefs are meant to inspire, to motivate you to want to achieve your goals. So the goals that you've set, develop that anchoring belief around that. Look at it, create it, look at it, let it inspire you. Now, as you develop your anchoring beliefs, let's talk about some additional tips here. And I'm sure we're all mostly familiar with what SMART goals are. So if you're not familiar with SMART goals, they are specific goals. We talked about having your goal be very specific, having that clarity around it. They're measurable goals. You can measure them. They're achievable. They're relevant or realistic. That's another way to use the R. So they're relevant or realistic goals, and they're time bound. So those are SMART goals, which we're pretty much all familiar with. So as we're discussing these areas, there's some other areas that I want to focus on, keeping those SMART goals in mind. So one thing to consider is you want to align your career goals with your broader objectives. So the goals that, we set for ourselves obviously don't live in a vacuum, right? Our career goals are connected to other goals that we have. So if you think about the career choices that you make, how does it interact with your health? I talked about that was a challenge for me in my career. How does it interact with your relationship goals or finance goals, whatever it is? So for example, I had a client a few years ago who achieved their dream job. They wanted to be an entrepreneur. They wanted to work for themselves. They wanted to have their own business, and they achieved it. And they've been working for this for years. They finally achieved it. Well, what they hadn't considered was how is it going to affect their relationship goals? This job required a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of effort, which my client respected because they wanted to do a stellar job. And that took away time from the other relationships in their life that caused some discord. So, remembering this, when you are setting your career goals, ensure that your goals are relevant to your overall purpose. They're relevant as they touch your other goals that you have set for your life. So, that holistic approach, keeping that in mind. Align your career goals with your broader objectives. Now, the next tip is really simple. Again, write down your goals. I know it sounds really simple, just write them down. Research has shown that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them than those who don't. Maybe write them in a planner. I know a lot of people have fancy planners that they love to make pretty and write their goals down and track their actions. Maybe write them on a vision board. I'm a big fan of vision boards. Look at them, stay on top of what that is. Have your goals top at your mind, which will reinforce those patterns and habits each day to accomplish your goals. So write them down. The next tip is to have an accountability partner. Now, accountability partner can be anyone. It can be a friend, a colleague, a mentor, a coach. The most important thing for an accountability partner, it's someone that you trust. This person can help you stay on track. They can motivate you, offer feedback, and sharing your goals, not just keeping them to yourself, but sharing your goals with other people that you trust. It can really help support your journey. And remember, if you want a coach, we're available here, the Alumni Association Career Services. If you are a member, we're available. We're happy to be your accountability partner in that process with you. And then the next tip is to be flexible. And I don't mean that type of flexible, that picture on your screen here, that just looks very painful. But be open to adapting your goals as those circumstances change. Life happens. Again, priorities change, and being flexible really is the key to navigating those unforeseen challenges, adjusting your approach when necessary. So from time to time, uh, take the opportunity to review your goals, to revise your goals, regularly assess your progress and make those adjustments that are needed. Goals should not be stagnant. They should be fluid, they should be dynamic, reflecting those changes in your circumstances or priorities. And then learn from setbacks. We all face those bumps in the road. That's just part of life. And while bumps in the road may slow us down, doesn't need to stop us completely. So the key to moving forward is not to let those bumps stop us. Take time, acknowledge it. Yeah, that was a bump in the road. Face it, acknowledge it, view those setbacks as opportunities for your learning, for your growth. Maybe analyze what went wrong, adjust your approach if necessary, and use that experience to inform future goals. Then what is your roadmap for the future? What do you envision for your future? What do you aspire to become, to achieve, to create? Think about this and create a specific description of what it would be like to achieve your career roadmap. How would that make you feel? What are you seeing? So it may be useful to not only think of this in words, it may be useful to, again, create a vision board for what that might look like. Where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, 10 years? What are you inspired to do in your lifetime? So as you envision your success for that long term, remember to break down those goals into smaller goals and then create those action steps, those habits, those routines around those goals, which leads us to creating an action plan. I call this cap it off, creating an action plan. So for those goals that you set, outline the specific steps you need to take to achieve each of these goals. Again, get very specific. An action plan provides that roadmap. It helps you stay organized, helps you stay on track. Going back to your core values and mission statement, you want to align your goals to your core values and mission statement. You also want to align your action steps to make that happen. So think about what you want to set up daily, what you want to set up weekly, monthly, yearly. So think about those routines and habits that you want to set up. And when you have that habit established, it just comes naturally, right? You don't even have to think about it. For example, I know every work week morning at 5:20 a.m., I will be making my coffee for the morning. I know it's just a habit. It comes naturally. I don't even have to think about it. Just what I do. I also know that 4 to 5 days of the work week, I'm doing my exercise walk at 5:30 p.m. unless I have some other commitment. It's a habit. It's a routine. It's just what I do. So when you think about your career goals, what is that routine for you? What is the habit that is going to spark your career success for this year, the year of 2024? So for each goal that you have, write down that goal, um, being very specific about what that is, make it a habit, how you plan to make that goal happen. So for example, if one of your goals is to get a new job in 2024, going back to that being specific, your anchoring belief, the goal might be, I want to find a job that will provide fulfillment that supports me and my family. Then ask yourself what specific routines or habits you want to put in place for that week, that year. So for example, for 3 days a week, I want to block out time focusing on my job search. This job search will consist of looking for jobs on job boards, applying to jobs, updating my resume, connecting with people on LinkedIn, scheduling those informational interviews, and the block time I want to schedule looks like this. Saturday from 10 to 2, Monday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So whatever it looks like, get very, very, very specific about how you want to establish those routines. So it just becomes natural. It's just what you do. Now, you want to create positive habits to achieve your career goals, just like writing your career goals down is important. It's also important to write down your habits, track those habits. And for those of you who love apps, there are a lot of habit tracker apps out there. So just Google habit tracker apps. Some examples are Habitica, Productive, Streaks, Habitify. So if you like that, feel free to do that. I'm pretty old school. I like the pen to paper, so that's how my preference is. But ultimately, it's whatever will work for you that you will check and do consistently. So being consistent is the name of the game. So going back to why these New Year's resolutions oftentimes fail, it does come back to consistency. Again, we want to summon the best of who we are. We want to believe, we want to feel inspired, to feel motivated, to strive toward what we want. And we want to be able to consistently put those actions in place to make that happen. And as you're progressing, don't forget to celebrate. Oftentimes, we forget to celebrate the progress we make along the way, whether it's big progress or small steps, small progress. It's important to celebrate those milestones. Help pat yourself on the back. Tell someone, "Hey, I did this," and we want to celebrate with you. So recognizing that progress does help maintain that motivation. It reinforces your commitment to that larger goal. And this one's just for fun. I like fun. So one simple way to keep yourself on track. I'm sure some of you may have a word of the year, maybe a quote of the year, song of the year. So I just put some of my previous ones on the screen here. So I'm a big fans of songs. The one that I have this year is a Pat Benatar song, old song called All Fired Up. If you don't know that song, check it out. I think it might get you pumped up. So question for you, what is your word of the year? Or maybe you have a song or quote of the year. What do you want this year to be about? So that can be some kind of fun that you can share with us. All right, some final thoughts. I love this quote. Don't look back. That is not where you are going. You get to decide where you're going in 2024. You get to decide what is meaningful for you. You get to decide how you want to set your intentions. And just as we started out today, remember, you are extraordinary. You have passion inside you. You have a purpose that is wanting to be fulfilled. So summon the best of you every day. So to summarize, understand your core values. How do your core values play into the career decisions you want to make? Understanding your personal mission statement. Develop the statement into each specific area of your life, but have a main one, that can be your anchor, and create those action plans, create those routines and habits to achieve your career goals. And if you have any questions in the chat, comment on those. I'm happy to answer any questions here. So that does lead us to our Q&A. So any questions? And I'll seeing some words of the year. Oh, love it, love it. All right. I'm just giving people time to type in the chat. Want to make sure I answer questions if you have them. Seeing lots of good comments. All right, awesome. All right, so I am going to close out the presentation today. And so we have, thank you. First of all, thank you for being here. I truly am grateful for those of you who are here, those of you who are maybe watching online later. It is a privilege for me to be here. It's a privilege to talk with you about these areas. So I'm happy to work with you and talk with you further if you have any questions about that. All right, so we want to move into our closing section of our job club. So we want to talk about who is hiring. I don't know if there are any employers online. If so, please raise your hand. We can monitor that. If you have any jobs you'd like to share, any active job leads. But please remember, you can email your job club leads to jobclub@uky.edu by noon Eastern today. And we'll make sure that that goes into our newsletter that will come out later today. So just I'm not seeing any hands go up. And all right. As a reminder, we do have UK Extension offices in all 120 counties across Kentucky with lots of great programs and resources for you to explore in the program areas of like 4-H youth development, family and consumer sciences, agriculture and natural resources. So a lot of great programs that offer those educational workshops, services, and resources. So please check that out. We do have UK STEPS temporary employment, which is coordinated by Nicole Waite. And just checking, I don't think she's on here today, but feel free to visit the UK STEPS online. So that is in your chat box, and these leads will also be in your newsletter. Now, if you do want more one-on-one help with, like, say, resume writing, interview tips, LinkedIn, job search strategies, there are opportunities for you to get that one-on-one coaching service with the UK Alumni Career Services. So there's information in your packet of how to sign up for that. So those of you who are online, there's also links to explore for these different services. Now, our next job club will be January 23rd, where Haley Crawford will be presenting on 10 transferable skills to help you change careers. And reminder that this is Zoom only as well. And you can register for that at ukalumni.net/job club or scan the QR code that's on your screen. And we thank you everyone that showed up today. And for those of you who are watching later, again, let us know what questions that you have and how we can be of service to you. We hope that each of you have a wonderful day, and thanks for being here.